positive, uplifting.
And investigative reporter Seymour Hersh. The NAACP calls for a civil rights investigation into the death of Nathaniel Jones. We'll talk with the doctor who signed the autopsy on him after his confrontation with police. And Dick Cheney will be here. Almost. We'll talk with Saturday Night Live's Darrell Hammond. Caution, you're about to enter a no-spin zone. Doctor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. A tough weekend for America. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. As we predicted last week, the torture allegations against a small number of U.S. troops in Iraq have caused grave damage to the country. Here's how. Allies like Pakistan's Musharraf will now have an even harder time convincing Muslims to cooperate with America against terrorists. American haters like Al Jazeera now seem almost justified in their vile portrayal of the USA. Anti-American partisans, both abroad and here at home, can now lace their propaganda with this incident. And finally, President Bush has another Iraqi setback to deal with. Now, this evening, we will get you some truth about the matter. Here's what we know so far. After hearing allegations from soldiers in Iraq, the American military itself initiated an investigation into the torture of some Iraqi prisoners. General Antonio Taguba quickly assembled facts that pinpointed abuse at the Abu Ghraib prison. 6 soldiers are facing prosecution, and that number could rise. The general in charge of the prison, Janis Karpinski, is also under investigation. The Army's chief law enforcement officer, Major General Daniel Ryder, apparently knew there were problems at the jail, but didn't do enough to stop them. And some U.S. private contractors are also said to be involved in some torture incidents. Talking Points deplores this entire episode because human rights violations have no place in the American landscape, and because the scandal diminishes the heroism and sacrifice of our military, which, on the whole, has been brilliant in Iraq. There is a small amount of good news here. Our system does work. The story's out. The violators will be punished. That would not happen in many other countries. In the end, the torture scandal is another unintended consequence of the terror war, which is unlike anything America has ever fought before. The enemy has no rules, but we do. It's unfair, but it's what separates us from the terrorists. And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight. Joining us here in the studio, Brigadier General Janis Karpinski and her lawyer, Lieutenant Colonel Neil Puckett. All right, General, everybody wants to know a simple question. How could this happen on your watch?
It happened because there was some instructions that were given to the military police personnel that were performing detention operations that they were trained in, experienced with, for the most part, on how to run detention operations. I qualified that only by saying that they were specifically trained at their units, at the home station, at mobile stations, on handling enemy prisoner of war operations. When the mission was almost complete with the prisoners of war, and the vast majority of them were released, the unit, the 800th MP Brigade, was given a new mission of restoring, rebuilding, and operating correctional confinement facilities in the Baghdad and throughout Iraq, in fact, including detention operations and rebuilding operations at Abu Ghraib prison. Through the course of several months, the focus of the operations at Abu Ghraib prison became the interrogation effort. And over the course of time, it shifted from standard detention operations or correctional confinement to an interrogation effort, almost specifically. And the largest population at Abu Ghraib were security detainees awaiting or having undergone or undergoing interrogation. And because the record number of security detainees who were in that category waiting or undergoing interrogation, the focus was shifted and the responsibility was shifted to the Military Intelligence Command. And because of the number of detainees and the inability to really effectively release the ones who no longer had any intel value, the numbers continued to grow. That's an indication of the operations and the efforts that were being made by the divisions, of course, and they were bringing in the people through raids or whatever operations.
So you got an overcrowded prison. Right. You've got interrogations going on every day, right, probably around 24/7. But the thing that disturbed me, and I think many other Americans, is that the soldiers, the few soldiers that we know so far who abused these prisoners, did it in such a blatant way. I mean, they took pictures of it. They were standing there smirking about it. They didn't seem to have any fear of being caught. It seems like they were operating in a zone like we can do whatever we want because there's no accountability.
I disagree. I think they were being instructed to do some of those things.
Instructed to do those things and take pictures?
No. I think, let me qualify that. They were given instructions initially to improve the situation for the interrogations to effectively take place.
Soften them up?
Soften them up, perhaps, yes, that expression has been used. And then
You don't do that by taking their clothes off and put them in piles and stand there with a stupid grin on your face.
That's correct, but I can also say with great confidence that those MPs did not wake up one morning and decide to do those things. It wouldn't occur that way.
But they did them.
Yes, they did.
And they didn't seem to me to be afraid of getting caught. And that usually reflects, now, you're at the top of the chain, but that usually reflects that mid-management wasn't keeping an eye on these people. Am I wrong?
Or the people that were responsible for keeping an eye on them were perhaps participating or encouraging
You're
those
talking
things.
about military intelligence now.
Because they were responsible for the interrogation operations, and that's where these photographs
Are
were
you
taken.
telling me that military intelligence in the Iraq theater is corrupt and do this all the time?
No, I'm not telling you that, but I'm telling you that they were under tremendous pressure to get more actionable intelligence and information from the detainees.
And because they're under that pressure, they abuse the detainees on a consistent basis?
Well, the photographs would indicate that, yes. And now,
Why didn't you know anything about it?
At that particular time when they suggested these photographs were taken in the November timeframe, the detention operations, the Abu Ghraib prison was no longer under my control. Because it was principally an interrogation and an intelligence operation out there for interrogation, it was transferred by official fragmentary order, FRAGO, under the control of the MI Brigade.
I understand they were in charge of the intelligence and the interrogation, but you were still in charge of the overall prison.
No, sir, I wasn't.
When did you leave that charge?
The FRAGO was cut approximately the 10th or the 12th of November, and there is an official record of
All
that
right, so
document.
you left the 10th or the 12th of November, but some of these pictures took place before that. Some of this stuff took place before that.
Allegedly. I do not know what dates the photographs were taken. However, I can say the 372nd Military Police Company was not up at Abu Ghraib during all of their assignment. Primarily, they were at another location under another battalion.
All right, so you're telling me you didn't know anything about any of this? You never heard any rumors about it? When you did your inspection, nobody said anything?
I did go into those cell blocks. I was in many of the cell blocks out at Abu Ghraib and in all of our prisons.
You never saw any of this?
I never saw, and certainly not. Had I even had a hint or a suggestion or a question, I would have investigated it immediately.
Now, this is what General Taguba, the guy who investigated you and the whole thing, says about you. Quote, "What I found particularly disturbing in her testimony, your testimony, General, was her complete unwillingness to either understand or accept that many of the problems inherent in the 800th MP Brigade were caused or exacerbated by poor leadership and the refusal of her command to both establish and enforce basic standards and principles among its soldiers." That's a death sentence for you in the Army.
Yes, sir, it is. And I responded to that finding when I had an opportunity to respond to his comments. And that is without foundation. This is not a military police leadership issue. This is a chain of command leadership issue, and the chain of command is the military intelligence. I am not running from my responsibility in this. Those military police personnel were in a company under my control, under my brigade. And I accept responsibility, and I am appalled that they would do such a thing. And I recognize some of those faces in the photographs, and it sickened me. And it would again whenever I see those photographs, as it does all of us. But they didn't come up with those ideas on their own. They were somehow encouraged or coached or instructed on what to do. And if it worked well with 6, then perhaps it would work twice as well with 12, or 10 times as well with 120.
Do you have any idea why they would scapegoat you on this?
In my opinion, they looked at this opportunity to look for a disposable commander.
And since you're a reservist?
I'm a reservist. I'm going back to a civilian world, and this won't affect my career. I don't know how they could draw that conclusion, but I was not assigned to CJTF 7 either. I remained assigned to a different headquarters.
Last question for you. Who's the villain here?
I think it's probably a shared responsibility. And the villain is somebody who is designing those techniques and telling the Military Intelligence Command and pressuring them, in fact, to get better information and get more information. I don't know who that individual is, but there had to be somebody who was telling them, you need to do a better job of this, and you need to get more actionable intelligence.
So it's either Army intelligence, CIA, they're involved?
Other government agencies, yes.
And then there were private contractors also?
Right, that were primarily interpreters.
So there's one big mess.
Well, I think there was instruction from many sources, yes.
Is it going to get worse?
It is not going to get worse because now it's been, come out in great attention with these photographs and the release of these photographs. I think that now it has the proper attention.
But do you think there are more torture photographs and more horror stories and maybe deaths and things like that?
No, I don't believe there is.
Okay. All right, General, we really appreciate you coming on and giving us your side of the story. We want to be fair to everybody here. And you're welcome anytime to come back, okay?
Thank you very
Counselor,
much.
I'm sorry we didn't, but I think the General made her case, and we wanted everybody to know what she said.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, cheers. Next on the Rundown, investigative reporter Seymour Hersh has written extensively about this story. We'll get his point of view, and he'll be here in just a few moments.
Your pet's same exact heartworm and flea medications delivered to your home, saving you time and money. 1-800-PET-MEDS. We deliver savings and convenience on HeartGuard, Advantage, Frontline, and all other pet medications. Order now and receive free shipping.
Introducing the Nissan Quest, a revolutionary minivan featuring 5 Skyview windows, front and side impact 5-star safety rating, an innovative center console, automated side and rear lift doors, and fold-away second and third row seats. Moms have changed. Shouldn't the minivan?
Free. I fell for it. Sign my family up for a nationwide wireless plan with free mobile-to-mobile calling. Only the mobile-to-mobile calling area was smaller. And if I wasn't in network, not free.
With Cingular's Family Talk, you really can call any Cingular customer for free, no matter where they or you are. Add a line for $9.99. Hurry, offer ends June 20th.
I call it my it's free, really, plan.
Cingular Nation Family Talk, another reason Cingular fits you best.
Ernestine Tamlin here, WebEx Communications visionary and all-around operator. We business types know how important it is to be well connected. The rest of you, who cares? That's why you need WebEx online meetings. Give your sales team WebEx and they'll close more deals without traipsing all over the planet. Are you listening to me? WebEx online meetings. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! We've got to start meeting like this.
Sign up to start meeting online and get your free trial today.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Carol Ayavana. Saudi Arabia's interior minister says he believes al-Qaeda was behind Saturday's deadly attack in Yanbu, but feels more time is needed to be sure. 4 gunmen shot up the offices of an oil plant co-owned by ExxonMobil. At least 7 people, including 2 Americans, were killed. All 4 attackers were killed as well. An emotional and heartfelt memorial service today in honor of former football star and soldier Pat Tillman. A large gathering of family and friends and admirers coming together in San Jose. Arizona Senator John McCain and California's First Lady Maria Shriver both spoke. Pat Tillman was killed April 22nd in Afghanistan. He gave up a multi-million-dollar football contract to join the Army. Meantime, another memorial held today honoring 3 soldiers killed in a Black Hawk helicopter crash last week. It happened during a nighttime training exercise near Fort Bragg in North Carolina. A company commander says the accident demonstrates that flying can be deadly anywhere. And Cracker Barrel restaurants will expand sensitivity training for employees to settle a federal discrimination suit. Many African-American customers complained of poor service at the restaurants compared to white customers, according to the Justice Department. And we'll have more news for you at the bottom of the hour. Stay tuned. The O'Reilly Factor continues right now.
Continuing now with our top story tonight, the repercussions of the Iraq torture situation. Joining us from Washington is investigative reporter Seymour Hersh, who became famous during the Vietnam War, you may remember, with his expose of the My Lai atrocities. He has written a major article about the Iraq torture situation in this week's issue of the New Yorker magazine. You just heard General Karpinski. Do you believe what she's saying?
Well, I could just tell you what General Taguba said in his report, which is it's complicated because he said basically, among other things, she ran one of the worst brigades he's ever seen. People didn't salute. People dressed casually, Officers were moved around without orders. They didn't keep records. As she said, that this was not a prison full of hardened, soldiers caught in war. These are full of civilians. He said upwards of 60% of the people in the prison had nothing to do with no bad feelings towards America whatsoever. They simply were caught in a random roadside check, or they were snatched off the street. They should have been processed under the Geneva Convention. He said they should have been processed. We should have gotten rid of the good guys from the bad guys. There was no control, no paperwork. They had all sorts of problems that he really gave her.
All right, but there's a difference between being a poor administrator and knowing about torture and looking the other way. Now, I grant you, and I challenged the general. I said, look, in these pictures, these soldiers didn't look like they had any fear of anybody coming down on them. I mean, they look like they're having a rollicking good time, and that tells me there was a problem in management. Whether it's middle management or upper management, I don't know. I also know the general, as you do, was not a trained jail warden. She's a reservist and got thrown in there into this position. But I think for the country's sake, we need to know if this scandal is going to get any worse, because we're taking a beating worldwide. And if so, who's the evildoer here?
First of all, it's going to get much worse. This kind of stuff was much more widespread. I can tell you just from the phone calls I've had in the last 24 hours, even more, there are other photos out there. There are many more photos even inside that unit. There are videotapes of stuff that you wouldn't want to mention on national television that was done. There was a lot of problems. There was a special women's section. There were young boys in there. There were things done to young boys that were videotaped. It's much worse. And the Major General Taguba was very tough about it. He said this place was riddled with violent, awful actions against prisoners.
All right, so we're going to see in the weeks to come more pictures and videotapes of atrocities against Iraqis. Is that what we can look forward to seeing?
Mr. O'Reilly, this is a generation, back in, you and I in our days, if we had something, we came back from war, we would put our pictures and hide them behind the socks in the closet and look at them once in a while. This is a generation that sends stuff on CDs, sends it around. Some kid right now is negotiating with some European magazine. I can't say that for sure, but it's there. It's out there, and the Army knows it.
Boy.
They've been trying, by the way, they've been trying to recover some of the CD discs from computers, individual computers, but obviously you can't stop this kind of transmission.
Well, the damage to the country obviously is just immeasurable. But reading your article in the New Yorker, I just get the feeling that the Army, when they heard about it, started action almost immediately. It wasn't a cover-up situation, or did I read your article wrong?
This guy, Taguba, is brilliant. He could have made a living doing it's a credit to the Army that somebody with that kind of integrity would write this kind of stuff. 53-page
Okay,
report.
but Sanchez, the commander, put him in charge fairly quickly. They mobilized fairly quickly.
Look, I don't want to ruin your evening, but the fact of the matter is it was the third investigation. There have been two other investigations. One of them was done by a major general who was involved in Guantanamo, General Miller, and it's very classified, but I can tell you that he was recommending exactly doing the kind of things that happen in that prison, basically. He wanted to cut the lines. He wanted to put the military intelligence in control of the prisons.
All right. We'll have more with Seymour Hersh in a moment. And then later on the broadcast, President Bush pokes fun at those anti-Bush books. They're legion, but we've uncovered some very interesting information about those books, and we'll give it to you coming up.
This program is brought to you by Toyota. Get the feeling.
It's our biggest Sienna ever. 3 rows, 8 seats, bring the whole team. Or you can have a whole row to yourself. Got a sister? Yeah. Won't even know she's there. DVD? Personal headphones. It's got 60% more cargo space. Wow, it's really huge. Cheeks, and it's got a 230 horsepower V6. What's that? I'm not sure.
The Toyota Sienna. It has everything kids want and everything you need.
Meanwhile, at dinner.
Our network's been down for 2 days.
Internet worm.
Whoa.
Our sales took a pounding. How did yours do?
It hit our suppliers.
You can never catch up.
Oh, the twin brothers doom and gloom.
Jeff, you're awfully quiet.
Our network didn't go down.
No.
No?
No.
You get the check.
Keeping business up and running. This is the power of the network. Now.
I used to be a burger buncher. I put them on one side of my old grill because it had cold spots on the other side. which made my burgers really unhappy. But this year I bought a Weber grill because their famous cooking system eliminates cold spots. And that's good, because now my burgers are nice and evenly cooked all over. Log on to Weber.com and learn what makes a great gas grill.
In a world where business can't make a move without a network, wouldn't it be great to have a network that can actually move your business? Because the right networking partner can do more than just move data. It can move people, products, and entire industries forward. Can your network do this? It can if it's designed by the world's networking company, AT&T.
So do you know what I said?
To the bank guy?
Yeah. I said I wanted free checking with no minimum balance, plus free online bill paying. Plus I want lots of your ATMs so we don't have to worry about those fees. Because I don't think we should have to pay for any of it. And you know what he said?
Goodbye.
He said, we don't think you should pay for it either.
Oh. Free checking with no minimum balance. Plus, plus, plus. From Bank of America. Higher standards.
Hi, Portland. I'm Peter Jacobsen, PGA Tour veteran, and this year, a rookie on the Champions Tour. When I'm not out on the course, I'm hosting my very own show on the Golf Channel. Come with me to see the lighter side of golf on Peter Jacobsen Plugged In, only on the Golf Channel. Portland's home for golf on Comcast Channel 33.
Which club to use?
Continuing now with investigative reporter Seymour Hersh from Washington, who has the cover story in the New Yorker magazine about the Iraq torture situation. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what I see unfolding here from what you told me and then General Karpinski told me is that there's a tension between the interrogators who wanted to find out, but using means that are dubious, information, and the military police who basically objected to some of these techniques. But you can understand that, like Vietnam, you have people shooting at Americans, blowing them up, and then running into mosques and hiding behind children and all of that. So how far do we go to get the information that protects our own troops? That, I guess, is the essential question that led to this scandal, correct?
Yes, but one of the things, the problem you have with, of course you have to go if you're dealing with hardened Al-Qaeda. There's not much mercy, and none of us would have much mercy. The problem here is they were picking on people that they hadn't made any differentiation on. They didn't know. And, and the kind of stuff that was going on, Mr. O'Reilly, when you take an Arab man and you make him walk naked in front of other men, this is the greatest shame they can have. And then you have them simulate homosexual activities. You have young women and young men, the women in particular, videotaping and photographing them doing this. This is actually a form of torture and coercion.
There's no question about it, and there's no question, there's no justification for it. But how do you wind up in a prison if you're just innocent and didn't do anything? See, our commanders and our embedded reporters tell me that they're way too busy to be rounding up guys in the marketplace and throwing them into prison. So I'm going to dispute your contention that we had a lot of people in there with just no rap sheets at all who were just picked up for no reason at all. The people who were in the prison were suspected of being either Al-Qaeda or terrorists who were killing Americans and knew something about it.
The problem is, it isn't my contention. It's the contention of Major General Takuba, who was appointed by General Sanchez to do the investigation. It's his contention in his report that more than 60% of the people in that prison, detainees, civilians, had nothing to do with the war effort.
And, well, how did they get there then? Because how did they get into the prison?
I'll tell you how they get there. You bust a guy that doesn't have anything to do. You humiliate him. You break him down. You interrogate him. He gives up the name of, you want to know who's a insurgent, who's Al-Qaeda? He gives up any name he knows. Then you
but
go.
Mr. Hersh, do you really believe that U.S. forces were sweeping Baghdad and the others? Are you just picking people up off the street for no reason?
No, inevitably you get people in a sweep that have nothing to do with what you're looking for.
Now that's true, but to the number of 50%, I'm not buying that. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm going on the basis of our reporters in the field, and I'm asking them, have you ever seen any of these sweeping? They go, no, these guys are way too busy. They got stuff to do all day long. They're not sweeping people up.
We're talking about last fall when the things weren't as acute as they are now. Certainly it's a terrible situation right now, and nobody's sweeping anything. They're in forced protection.
Right.
But last fall, things were much calmer. People were being swept. This did happen.
All right.
And I could tell you something else. Let me just say this. I believe the services have look, the kids did bad things. But the notion that it's all these kids, the officers are in loco parentis with these children. We send our children to war, and we have officers like that general whose job is to be mother and father to these kids, to keep them out of trouble. The idea of watching these pictures, it's not only a failure of the kids, it's a failure of everybody in the command structure.
Yeah, it's a failure of the supervisors of those soldiers to create an environment of fear so they wouldn't do that. See, it's just appalling to me that they would take this so casually. One more question, I'll let you go here. Major General Donald Ryder is the chief law enforcement officer of the Army, all right? He went in and also looked at the situation and in a report said, yeah, we have a lot of trouble, but didn't red flag the kind of trouble that you reported on. Why?
I just don't know, because Don Ryder has a great reputation among investigators in the CID, the Criminal Investigation Division. They adore him. He's got a great reputation. But General Taguda, again, in his report, really went after him in a way that one general doesn't often do.
He just said he wasn't tough enough on the initial report.
He blew it.
All right, Mr. Hirsch, we hope if you get other information, hard information, you will come here and tell us about it after writing for The New Yorker. Your article is very interesting. We do recommend it, and we thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Plenty more ahead as the Factor moves along this evening. The NAACP calling for a civil rights investigation into the death of this man being beaten right there in Cincinnati. And we found Dick Cheney. He's on Saturday Night Live. We'll talk with Darrell Hammond, and we hope you stay tuned.
What would you rather have, a car or a cleaner environment?
I can't imagine being without my car. Of course, I'd rather have a clean environment, but I think that compromise is very hard to make where we are.
Breaker 19, this here's a rubber duck. You got a copy on me, Big Ben? Come on. Yeah, we definitely got the front door, good buddy. Mercy sakes alive, looks like we've got us a convoy.
The Buick Rendezvous Ultra. Rainier. And coming soon to Roslyn. 3 new ways to refine the road.
Breaker, Big Ben, this here's
Buick. We're not just a car company anymore.
Washington is the nation's capital and the home of The Weekly Standard, America's foremost political magazine. Order now at 73% off the cover price, and you'll see why the New York Times says The Weekly Standard is closely read in the Bush White House, why the Chicago Sun-Times says The Weekly Standard is exceedingly influential in conservative circles, and why Vanity Fair says The Standard is Washington's most influential journal of opinion. The Weekly Standard, because the war on terrorism continues, and because freedom is the best hope for mankind.
This is good versus evil.
Taxes, judges, abortion, the Middle East. Will President Bush have a second term? And will the Republicans hold both houses of Congress? Join editors Bill Kristol and Fred Barnes and go behind the scenes where the decisions are made. Get the magazine that's required reading at the White House. Now through this limited TV offer, you can get 24 issues for just $24.95. When you order, you'll also receive a Weekly Standard canvas tote bag free. See why the Weekly Standard is a must-read in the White House. Call now to get 24 issues for just $24.95 and your free tote bag. Order now.
Tomorrow at 8, one middle school's trip to Orlando during Gay Days has some parents outraged. Now, one angry mother speaks out to Bill on a shocking O'Reilly factor. Then at 9, his new book says she's a lying, hungry politician who put up with Monica Lewinsky for a Senate seat. Dick Morris reveals the dark side of the former First Lady on Hannity and Colmes. Plus at 10, outrage over Iraqi prisoner abuse. Muslim leaders demand justice. What should the White House do? Henry Kissinger weighs in with Greta. Fox News Channel, the most trusted name in cable news.
Factor follow-up segment tonight. You may remember last November, a man named Nathaniel Jones, 41 years old, was confronted by police outside a Cincinnati restaurant. Jones was acting erratically and proceeded to battle with police for more than 3 minutes. They attempted to arrest the 350-pound man. During the struggle, Jones collapsed and died. Subsequently, the coroner ruled that Jones had a wide variety of drugs in his bloodstream and a large heart and other maladies, and police were exonerated from any wrongdoing. But the NAACP now says they don't believe the police should skate and are threatening to file a civil rights lawsuit against the city of Cincinnati. Joining us now from that town are Dr. Carl Parrott, the county coroner who signed the death certificate, and Michael K. Allen, the Hamilton County prosecutor on the case. So, Mr. Allen, the NAACP, I mean, they may bring in the feds, and if they do, what will your reaction be?
Well, my reaction will be, you know, they can bring in the feds if they want, but those officers did absolutely nothing criminal in that parking lot. My office conducted an extensive investigation. Over 30 witnesses were interviewed. There was video from the moment Mr. Jones entered that restaurant parking lot to the moment that his body was carried away, and it clearly shows that he engaged the officers, and he was the one that committed criminal activity in that lot.
I think you're right. The contention is that if the police had backed away from the man and not confronted him, he'd be alive today. Do you dispute that contention?
Well, Bill, I heard at the top you showed some video. I hope you showed the part where Mr. Jones was coming after the officers.
Yeah, we just saw that. We just saw that.
Yeah. It clearly shows that those officers were backing up.
But if there wasn't a confrontation in the beginning, and this is the NAACP's point of view, I'm putting forth their point of view because they won't do it themselves. They, for some reason, won't talk with us. But they say that if the police had not confronted this guy because all he was doing was acting strangely, that this wouldn't have happened, and that's what their problem is.
No, the police were called to that lot because of a disorderly man, Mr. Jones. The employees of the White Castles called them, and you know the fire department came. They attempted to administer first aid to him at first. He was clearly out of control. He was high on angel dust, cocaine, and even embalming fluid. He was out of control, and the police had to take action.
Okay.
And they took action.
Now, Doctor, the NAACP apparently has their own pathologist, a woman named Joy Carter, and she concludes that Nathaniel Jones suffocated. That's why he died, which, of course, is not the conclusion that your guys came to. How do you respond to that?
Well, I respectfully disagree. This death is best understood as falling into a category that forensic pathologists call excited delirium with restraint. The scenario typically is what we saw with Nathaniel Jones. Someone is acting bizarre. Someone becomes violently disorderly. People attempt to restrain that individual. It can be friends, it can be healthcare workers, and it's often police, because police get called to handle situations like this. During the course of the attempted restraint, there's a violent physical struggle. The person is sometimes described as fighting with superhuman strength. Finally, the restrainers, the responders, achieve control. The person appears to lapse into tranquility, and then they suddenly die. They just drop dead.
All right. Now, would he have died if he wasn't a drug abuser? Did that contribute to the death?
There's a strong correlation, particularly with cocaine, in these deaths. In fact, in cities where cocaine use is falling off because it's less popular as a drug of abuse, this kind of case is declining as well.
But in Jones's case, he's 41 years old, he's obese, he's 350 pounds, he's got a heart problem anyway. So he's on cocaine and angel dust and embalming fluid and God knows what else. Any kind of exertion kills him?
Well, in theory, but as a practical matter, the amount of exertion here was sufficient.
All right. So you believe both that this NAACP thing is unwarranted across the board?
I can't speak to that. These cases back in the 80s used to be described as positional asphyxias, but people began doing some studies in the late 80s, both with human volunteers and with animals, that seemed to refute that.
Well, we'll let everybody know what happens. Gentlemen, thanks very much. We appreciate it. Next, President Bush took a little poke at the publishing industry. We'll tell you about that in a moment.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Carol Iovanov. The U.S. considering a new commander to head an Iraqi force in Fallujah. Fox News correspondent David Lee Miller has more from Baghdad.
U.S. military commanders say they are still counting on former Iraqi soldiers, now dubbed the Fallujah Brigade, to help maintain order in the city. But what officials say has changed is who will head up that brigade. Their first choice to head the unit, former Iraqi general Jassim Mohammed Salah, outraged many Iraqis because of his past service in Saddam's elite Republican Guard. The general now taking command of Iraqi forces in Fallujah is Mohammed Latif, who, while not yet fully checked out by the coalition and Iraqi officials, appears to have anti-Saddam credentials and might even have spent time in an Iraqi prison. Officials say Latif is an intelligence officer who has been trained in the United Kingdom. He was among other officers recently recalled by the Ministry of Defense to reform Iraq's army. The question now, can he deliver on U.S. demands to contain some 2,000 militants in Fallujah in addition to some 200 foreign fighters? U.S. Marines are now positioned on the outskirts of the city, and they say, if necessary, they are poised to return. In Baghdad, David Lee Miller, Fox News.
More headlines for you at the top of the hour. The O'Reilly Factor continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching Fox News Channel.
Hey, Dad, look at this one. It's got everything.
The Forenza. Honey, this looks expensive.
This is so me, Dad. It's got a CD player, 8 speakers, controls on the steering wheel.
Wait a minute. More room than Civic. And America's #1 warranty. That's very good.
Air conditioning, power, everything. It's perfect.
The new Suzuki Forenza. Thousands less than Civic. No matter how you look at it, it's one smart move.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, ladies.
Oh, no. Who is he? What? Oh, come on. You're glowing. You're in love. I am not. Does he have a friend? Trust me, there's no guy. Oh, whatever. Look at that smile.
It's not love. It's new Crest White Strips Premium. Clinically proven to take off up to 14 years in just 7 days. For a smile you'll love.
So how is your love life?
New Crest White Strips Premium. Irresistibly white, irresistibly beautiful.
Are you living with thick, discolored, or flaky nails? It may mean you're living with Digger, the dermatophyte. He and his friends got in deep under your nail. They may be causing an active live infection, and they're hoping you don't call this toll-free number to learn more about prescription Lamisil tablets. You'll get the information you need to start seeing clearer, healthier nails, including questions to ask your doctor, plus a check so you can save $10 on your prescription. Lamisil works through the bloodstream to attack the infection at its source. Lamisil isn't for people with liver or kidney problems. In rare cases, serious side effects in the liver or serious skin reactions have occurred, so your doctor may do a simple blood test. Other side effects, including headache, diarrhea, indigestion, and rash, were generally mild. Ask your doctor about Lamisil, the #1 prescribed brand for treating infected nails. The sooner you call for free information and $10 savings, the sooner you can start to see clearer, healthier nails. Lamisil tablets. Get your nail infection where it grows.
You're watching the #1 program on cable news. Enter the No Spin Zone on the O'Reilly Factor. The most powerful name in news. Fox News Channel.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly. In a personal story segment tonight, those of us who are not in the liberal camp, we're independent here, but our authors, are often ignored by major book reviewers. That's been going on for years. However, left-wing bombers like Michael Moore are embraced and publicized by papers like the New York Times, which is the most powerful book review paper. In fact, if you write an anti-Bush book, the Times would like to review it, and Mr. Bush knows it.
I thought about giving an economic speech tonight. Really gets me when the critics say I haven't done enough for the economy. I mean, look what I've done for the book publishing industry. You've heard some of the titles. Big Lies. The Lies of George W. Bush. The Lies and the Lying Liars Who Tell Them. I'd like to tell you I've read each of these books, but that'd be a lie.
Me too. Joining us now from Washington, Jane Hall, who teaches journalism at American University and is seen on Fox News Watch. Tim Graham, the Director of Media Analysis at the Media Research Center, conservative watchdog group. All right, I've got a list of 6 books here that have gotten a lot of publicity. And the problem with these books, Mr. Graham, is that they're all reviewed by sympathetic reviewers. Reviewers that you wouldn't expect to say anything bad about. So the first one we're going to talk about is The Price of Loyalty, George W. Bush, the White House, and the Education of Paul O'Neill. Right? The author is Ron Susskind, and this was the book where O'Neill came in and said Bush was an idiot. All right? The reviewer is Michael Tomasky, the executive editor of American Prospect, perhaps the most liberal magazine in the world. So why would you put a liberal guy to review a book? What do you think?
Well, everybody expects a book reviewer to have an opinion, but when you select who's going to have an opinion, and you overwhelmingly select, liberal people who don't like George Bush, Yeah, you've gone beyond an obvious bias to kind of a hilarious bias.
I mean, is it because they want people to read these books, so they give them a patter-puff reviewer who they know are going to say something good so they can blurb it all over the place? Is that the agenda?
I think that's part of it. Obviously, blurbs from the New York Times are very important to people. And I think it's important to note that a lot of these reviews are of anti-Bush books by obscure university presses, by Brookings Institution Press. You know, they're picking up books and boosting them in the public eye.
Okay, now, Jane, you're in academia. You teach at American University. Do you know Orville Schell, the dean of the Graduate School of Journalism at the University of California, Berkeley? Do you know him?
I don't know him. I know who he is.
You know Orville, right? How would you categorize him as far as politics are concerned?
I would say he was probably to the left and liberal.
Yeah, around Fidel Castro, right?
Somewhere I wouldn't agree with that characterization.
Somewhere in the Straits of Florida? Because we've had Dean Schell on the program. And, I mean, he wanted to take my car, and I wouldn't let him. Anyway, he reviews the book by Eric Alterman, another, you know, Fidel Castro confidant. What liberal media? And Orville loves it. What do you think's going on here, Jane?
Well, let me make a slightly different point. I mean, I think you've got a point about some of these reviewers, and you'll be interested to hear that I spoke today to the new editor of the New York Times Book Review, Sam Tannenhouse, who returned my phone call and told me, in addition to some examples on the other side, that they are planning to have conservative books looked at by liberal critics. Because I said to him that I thought that there are a number of books, including yours, on the bestseller list that they probably should take note of.
Yeah, but aren't there any independent people?
Well,
why do we have the ideological people to look at these
okay,
books?
but that's one point. The other point is there are a lot of anti-Bush books that they haven't reviewed. They haven't reviewed David Corn's book. They haven't reviewed Molly Ivan's book. There's a whole new slew of these that haven't been reviewed.
I think they did say something about Ivan's book.
Well, no, I don't think they have. But the other thing is when you read through, they also have Chris Caldwell from the American Spectator, who just wrote a book.
All right, but that doesn't matter. I mean, I've had three number one, and I know I'm grinding my own axe here. All right, but I've had three number one bestsellers, and they totally ignore me. But Michael Moore...
I think that they should review your book. But
I don't.
If you read through
I don't want them to review my book. They're going to hate it. All right?
No, wait. If you read through the review, at least the review I read of Janet Maslin's of Michael Moore's book, she talks about what an enormous ego she had. Michi Kaikitani, who reviewed, I believe, Al Franken's book, said it's all about me. That was what she viewed the book as. I think a lot of these reviews have been
Janet Maslin gave Moore's a fairly positive review, and Janet Maslin is a left-winger.
Well, I don't agree with your character.
You don't think Janet Maslin's a left-winger, Jane?
No, I don't. I think she's a New York Times writer. I mean, I don't agree with you.
It's the same thing. Liberal and New York Times writer. It's the same thing.
No, well, I disagree with you. I don't think a New York Times writer is an automatic left-winger.
We're not some cabal here. We respect disagreement.
No, there are a lot of these. First of all, they have a variety of people. Could you say that Chris Caldwell negatively reviewed a book on gay marriage is a left-winger?
All right, it gets a little more serious than Michael Moore, who's a buffoon, and the other guy you mentioned, who's ridiculous. It gets to be serious when you get House of Bush, House of Saud, The Secret Relationship Between the World's Two Most Powerful Dynasties by Craig Unger. Now, who reviews his book? Charles Kupchan, the former National Security Council official under President Clinton. Now, come on, Jane. This is an attempt by a major American newspaper, perhaps the most influential, all right, to undercut and put its political agenda in the bookstores by making these, and we have more and more of the lists, favorable, they know they're going to get good reviews by this.
Well, as I've said, I think that they know they have to take more note of right-wing books. But if you read the review of the House of Saud, the one I read, he says the guy doesn't make the case.
Mr. Unger does an impressive job of reporting in this admittedly puzzling effort. Come on, Jane.
No, he doesn't make the case.
Go ahead, Mr. Graham.
Well, look, they had an issue of the New York Times Book Review in January with about 8 anti-Bush books, and the headline on the cover of the New York Times Book Review was, now that George W. Bush is president, is America an evil empire? Now, I don't know how anybody's going to try to defend that as objective New York Times coverage.
You know what this is?
The next line of that says that some books are questioning this. It doesn't say the New York Times is saying
Not on the cover, it doesn't, Jane.
It does. It says several books seem to suggest this. That's the next line after the line you're quoting.
Here's the bottom line. We want honesty in the media, Jane. We want it to be honest.
I want honesty in the media, too, including here.
The fix is in over at the New York Times Book Review. Get it? The fix is in. We don't want that. We hope the new guy changes it, because now the fix is in. Jane, Mr. Graham, thanks very much. We appreciate it. Stand by. The Vice President has a few words for you. Kind of. Back in a moment.
This program is brought to you by Scottrade. $7 online market orders, 170 offices.
Even as a kid, I believed in giving people more for their money. I'm Roger Riney. I started Scottrade to take care of online investors like nobody else. With $7 trades, no transaction fees on thousands of mutual funds, and offices nationwide. Click, call, or stop by Scottrade today.
The 85-second Photo Lab. Canon's compact photo printer. Great prints. Anywhere you take pictures. Digital revolutionized photography. We revolutionize digital.
Diabetes doesn't wait.
You never keep me waiting.
But does your meter take longer than 5 seconds to give you a result?
Right on time.
What are you waiting for? Switch to One Touch Ultra. Results in 5 seconds.
Why does the Taxpayers Association of Oregon endorse Golia Mary for Congress? Golia Mary helped lead the fight to defeat the $1.1 billion tax increase. And Golia Mary's economic plan will reduce taxes on families, reprioritize spending, and revitalize Oregon's economy. Golia Mary, endorsed by the Taxpayers Association of Oregon, because they trust her, and so can you.
I'm Golia Mary, and I authorize this message.
I remember it like it was yesterday. I was hosting my first big business dinner, and I paid with my Visa card. Turns out I was over my limit. I was so embarrassed, I didn't know what to do. So I got the American Express card, and it never happened again.
Call now for the American Express card. We can take your application right over the phone.
Applying for the card was one of the easiest things I've ever done, and smartest, because American Express is there for me, whether I'm out shopping or on vacation. I feel better knowing that.
Now the card has rewards built in. I get a point for virtually every dollar I spend, plus double points at places I shop the most, like supermarkets and gas stations. And I can redeem them for just about anything, from a trip to Rome to a flat-screen TV.
So call now for the American Express card. You can apply right over the phone.
It helped not having a preset spending limit.
It's great earning double points at so many places.
I can call 24 hours a day. That helps.
Call 1-800-THE-CARD and apply now. There's never been a better time to be a card member.
Hey, Fix.
Right here.
See this car? I may use one. Red.
Got it.
Finding the right car is hard. But VHICS.com makes it easy.
Well, would you call this red?
I'd call it burgundy.
Searching hundreds of dealer inventories.
I'd call it burgundy. Right, burgundy's not red.
And presenting the results.
Ta-da!
Great. Here.
At no cost to you. VHICS.com, roadmap to the automotive world.
In the back of the book segment tonight, for my money, the best political satirist in the business right now is Darrell Hammond, who works for Saturday Night Live. All right, joining us now, Darrell Hammond, starring with the Olsen twins in a new movie called New York Minute, which opens on Friday. This is not a joke. It's Darrell and the Olsen twins. I hear you're their favorite adult. Is that true?
Yeah, they spill a lot of coffee on me and make my life hell for about 24
Now, you taking a lot of jazz from those slugs over Saturday Night Live? You and the Olsen twins? You taking a lot of heat on that?
I haven't taken any heat on the slugs. Did you call it the slugs?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, you know those people. You know what I can't get? Every guest host that comes out says the same thing. It's just great to be here. Why is it so great? Why is it so great to be there?
I guess because it's a historical show, and, you know, it's one of the most successful.
But a lot of these people don't look like they're having a great time.
I think they're scared.
Yeah.
It's pretty daunting to appear live in front of, well, you do it all the time, but not everyone does.
Did you get to talk to Janet Jackson? Did you get to have a chat?
I didn't talk to her at all. We rehearsed that piece, but there was even no conversation going on.
Because bodyguards were there, or could you, if you wanted to talk to her?
No, I suppose that I could have, but she seemed to be wrapped up in what she was doing. She seemed to be a very quiet person.
She actually did a pretty good Condoleezza Rice, didn't she?
She did do a pretty good job.
But I would love to see if the woman could carry on a conversation. You don't care. You're so jaded by these big names, right?
I don't know that I'm jaded by them. I mean, I've been doing it for a while now, and they write these things, they put them together, they cast them, and then on Friday or Saturday night, I get the phone call or whenever it is, and they bring me in, and then I.
So they say, do Cheney, or do Regis, or one of those.
Sure. I mean, we learn our things between Wednesday and Saturday. I mean, the key feature, I think, of all of us is that we work pretty well with speed, and we're pretty fast.
Now, I've seen a subtle shift in Saturday Night Live where you pick on everybody now. For a while there was just picking on the right and mocking the right. Have you seen that, or am I delirious?
I absolutely have noticed that. I mean, we've done sketches on just about everybody in the Democratic Party this year.
Yeah, you mock Kerry, you mock Bush, and that's good. Don't you think that's better?
Yes.
Right, because we know primarily all you pinheads over there are, admire Mao Zedong and would love to move to, outer Mongolia and live with the yaks. But Tina Fey, she's the head writer. But, she's a self-avowed leftist. I mean, she's a liberal person, but she seems to be kind of fair, right?
Absolutely so. I think that you would see people and disagree sometimes with the how, but not necessarily the what or the why.
How old are you now?
43.
All right. Because that's a show that appeals to 17 to 29 in that range. Can you outgrow Saturday Night Live?
Well, I think that, I play the politicians on there. I mean, I started on that show older than most, and I am now. But, I mean, when I do colleges and when I do clubs and stuff like that. Yeah, they love you. Well, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, it's fun. If you're funny, I think that people like you regardless of their age. At least that's what I like to think. Now,
has Clinton ever said anything to you about your invitation with him? Because I know you hang out with the Democrats.
I had an event with him at the White House Correspondents' Center a few years ago, and he was very complimentary.
Now, you haven't seen Cheney, have you?
I met Cheney briefly.
Because none of us have seen him. Have you really seen him?
Well, I haven't. I've met him a couple times.
Yeah.
You've met him.
I've never met him.
Really?
I have never met him. I talked to him on a satellite a couple of times. Every time I go there, he's not home. I don't know where he is. I can't find him.
Just a couple of handshakes and a couple of pleasantries. That's all.
You have one of my favorite guys, guest host in the last show of the season, Snoop Doggy Dogg. You guys are all going to smoke pot together, or what are you going to do? Are you going to curse and are you going to call Tina a hoe? What are you going to do with Snoop Doggy Dogg if you don't do this stuff?
I don't know.
You don't know what you're going to do?
No,
you know what I'd like to see?
The guy.
You know what I would like to see?
Yeah.
You introduce Snoop Dogg to the Olsen twins, and then you all smoke pot. Wouldn't that be good?
Sure. It's making you laugh.
Snoop Doggy Dogg. Can you do him?
No.
No?
Can't do it.
You can't do them.
If they give me the assignment, I'd try what they have.
All right, Daryl, the movie is New York Minute. I go to see it just for you and those dopey Olsen twins. And the last Saturday Night Live with our favorite guy, Snoop Dogg, coming up on Saturday. Thanks for coming in.
Yes.
Okay.
Good to see you.
We really admire your skill.
Thank you.
And next, we'll wrap things up with the most ridiculous item and some of your mail.
Okay, just read the chart.
There it is again!
Want to refinance your mortgage and cash out equity? Get a $395 flat fee home loan from Ditech.com.
Lost another one to Ditech.
Call 1-800-DITECH-1.
Your pet's same exact heartworm and flea medications delivered to your home, saving you time and money. 1-800-PET-MEDS. We deliver savings and convenience on HeartGuard, Advantage, Frontline, and all other pet medications. Order now and receive free shipping.
These people are getting answers to the most important questions they'll ever ask. Questions about their health. They're finding those answers in a single place. WebMD. 16 million people come to WebMD every month. They find vital information that used to be scattered in 100 locations, now all in one place. The place America comes for healthcare answers. A place called WebMD.
At GMC, we know that payloads don't need to stretch their legs. Listen to XM satellite radio, enjoy dual climate control, or watch DVDs. But people do. Introducing the new GMC Sierra 1500 Crew Cab. Professional grade engineering. It's not more than you need, just more than you're used to.
Before, if I was feeling achy and I couldn't sleep, I'd watch TV or eat leftovers. I just wasn't the kind of person who took a sleeping pill, and I didn't like the idea of becoming one. But then I heard about something that would help the pain and help me sleep, but without my becoming dependent.
Tylenol PM is non-habit forming, relieves your pain, and helps you sleep, so you feel refreshed the next day.
Tonight at 2, the race for the White House gets nasty as more vicious attack ads hit the airwaves, the latest on Hannity and Colmes. Plus, at 3, it's a Greta exclusive. Her hoax crushed one family's hopes that their missing daughter was alive. Now, convicted imposter Donna Walker speaks out on the record. The most trusted name in cable news, Fox News Channel. Tomorrow, the coalition under fire, Sharon in the hot seat, and the search for Al-Qaeda. Premiere international coverage and breaking reports right here. Fox News Channel, America's newsroom.
Time now for the most ridiculous item of the day. In Austin, Texas, a semi-annual event called Splash takes place in and around Lake Travis. The event features naked people splashing and clothed people watching. Unfortunately, about 60 clothed people on a boat all rushed to one side to see the naked people, and the boat capsized. Ridiculous, sure, but those clothed people needed to cool off anyway. Everyone was rescued. And finally tonight, the mail. But before we get to it, the results of our BillO'Reilly.com poll, which asked the question, will you boycott Canadian goods and services if that country grants asylum to 2 U.S. Army deserters? About 40,000 of you came in. 86% say they will boycott. 14% say they will not. Not good news for Canada. We'll let you know what happens. Dr. Neil Finnegan, Gold Coast, Australia. Mr. O'Reilly, I'm sure the Iraqi people are much happier now than they are being killed and abused under the rule of American dictator rather than one of their own. Excuse me. Now, I use this guy's letter to demonstrate the ignorance of the anti-American Kool-Aid people out there. Most Aussies would never say anything like that, but there you go. Betty Kropak, Melbourne, Australia. As an American living overseas, I'm disgusted that CBS released those torture pictures. That will definitely hurt our war against terror. Greg Allen, Tuhunga, California. Do the flip test, Bill. You did not use pictures of Iraqis being tortured by us, but wouldn't you use shots of Americans being tortured by them? We didn't use the Fallujah pictures, Mr. Allen. We just told you about them. Major William Schoheim, Monterey, California. It is the soldiers who abrogated their professionalism, not CBS, who are responsible for any Americans killed as a result. Norman Morocco, El Cajon, California. As a 27-year military veteran, I'm disgusted by the total disregard for the safety of our troops by CBS. Stacey Duval, Columbus, Ohio. Mr. O, you finished your segment on Nightline saying that people should make up their own minds. Unfortunately, I can't. Sinclair pulled the program. Tim Monahan, North Andover, Massachusetts. Mr. O'Reilly, you owe ABC News and your viewers an apology for implying Nightline was disrespectful. No such implication was made. Mr. Monahan, you must be a new viewer. We don't imply on the factor. We say. Judy Johnson, Cape Coral, Florida. Bill, saw you live in Fort Lauderdale. I felt like I just had my mental battery recharged. Thanks for the tune-up. Well, you're welcome, Judy, and thank you and everybody who came to see me in Lauderdale on Sunday. It was a great time. Omar Faramba, Miami. Bill, your speech was great. You are just as humble in person as you are on TV. Well, I'll take that as a compliment, Omar. Patricia Fournier, San Diego. Bill, you look like a mafia guy with that black shirt on Friday. Barb Davis, Lakeside, California. Bill, I didn't realize what a hottie you are until I saw you in that black shirt and blue tie. A hottie? How about that website? It's hot in there. www.foxnews.com/O'Reilly. We got my column in there. We got Factor Gear in there. We got all kinds of new stuff in there for you. Get online with the Factor for the time in your life. Please email us with pithy comments from anywhere in the world. O'Reilly@foxnews.com. O'Reilly@foxnews.com. Name in town, name in town, name in town. If you wish to opine, no bloviating. That's my job. That's it for us today. As always, thanks for watching the Factor. Radio Factor is streamed on BillO'Reilly.com. You can listen to it each weekday. Hannity and Colmes warming up in a bullpen. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Hope to see you again next time. Remember, the spin stops right here because we are definitely looking out for you.